and welcome to a very special edition of the Insight Tonight on this International Women's Day on 7th March 2025. My name is Eugene Ochienkwach, and tonight we are diving into a story of courage, a legacy of change, and a call to action that resonates louder than ever. Our theme, the power of our voice, how Wangari Maathai changed the world. Picture this, a woman who planted trees, not just to heal the earth, but to uproot oppression. A woman who faced tear gas, threats, and tyranny with a voice that refused to be silenced. Wangari Maathai, Africa's first female Nobel Peace Prize winner, showed us that one woman's resolve can spark a revolution for justice, for women, for the planet. And today, her spirits live on in the battles women still fight, from the silent epidemic of mental health crisis to the deafening roar of climate change stripping away livelihoods. Here with me are two extraordinary women carrying that torch forward. Sakina Taki, founder and CEO of Impasto Ventures, Africa's only accredited suicide first aid tutor and a trailblazer in corporate wellness, knows the power of voice that heals. And of course, we also have Wanjiku Dike, environmental activist and founder of Kipepeo Green Heritage, channels Maathai's green legacy to empower women on the front lines of ecological survival. Well, those are our guests tonight. Of course, if you want to converse with us at GBS TV Africa, 21144 is our SMS line. You can find me at Kwach Official across all social media platforms. Well, ladies, thank you so much for accepting our invite.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes. You guys look fabulous. You look beautiful. You look happy.
We are. Tomorrow, we are happy.
Okay. Well, what event do you guys have tomorrow? DK?
We are launching what we are calling the Ewangan Gala Awards.
Okay.
In relation to climate action, to celebrate grassroots people who are doing their own small thing, giving them that voice, that pedestal, and just some space to be known. They're doing this and to be appreciated.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's let me ask you, Taki. You
Yes.
have you have a unique name.
Thank you.
But away from the name, let's talk about Impasto Ventures.
Ventures, yes.
Tell us about it. What do you guys do there?
Impasto Ventures, our tagline is that we champion suicide prevention.
Okay.
Now, when you talk about the word suicide, it's very scary for people to hear. But with the impact it's having on our society, it needs to be spoken about. But what leads to suicide? That's what we look at. We specialize in suicide prevention. We specialize in corporate wellness. And now what we're looking at is what effect is climate change having on our mental health? And that's what we're also going to touch on in our conversation today.
Interesting. Wanjiku Dike, an environmental activist and founder of Kipepeo Green Heritage. What is Kipepeo? What do you guys do?
Kipepeo means a butterfly, Swahili for butterfly.
Yes.
The narrative was born out of the journey a butterfly goes through,
Yes.
you know, from egg, larva, pupa, adult. So ours is to nurture mindsets, to change attitudes, so that people can come and become aware about climate change and what we need to do, and inspire young minds. We need to do this.
Yes.
Some of us went through for K clubs.
Yes.
That is why we are here
Yes.
today. At least we're able to enjoy soil.
Yes.
But how about our children? How
Yes.
about the generation that is coming, that is going to really face
Yes.
the challenges of climate action?
Yes.
And knowing what we were brought up to run to the cities
Yes.
instead of going to the farms.
Yes.
Now we are saying, let's move back to the farms
Yes.
and protect Mother Earth.
Oh.
Because if we don't do it,
Yes.
it will be bitter and it will punish us thoroughly.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Interesting. What you guys are doing is quite a lot, actually, I can say. But of course, today we are here to then look at, or rather delve in a conversation around issues that resonate with women during this Women International Day. And we get to look at a certain figure who, over the history, has made a name for herself through advocacy, which I believe, of course, you guys also understand a bit what has actually happened. So we're talking about Wangari Maathai, but of course we will resonate this conversation with the plight of the woman today in this conversation. Of course, as I involve you in what you guys are really doing, how is it actually even impacting on women? And perhaps even as we begin this, let me just ask this question, DK, as I begin with you, and of course you will get to tell me also your view on the same, because Wangari Maathai once said, in the course of history, there comes a time when humanity is called to shift to a new level of consciousness. Now today, on International Women's Day, what do you see as the most pressing shift women need to lead in addressing global challenges like mental health crisis and environmental degradation? Maybe you will pick a side and speak. Yeah, mental health, environmental degradation.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you think about specifically what?
Number one,
Yeah.
women need courage.
Okay.
Because we are the most affected.
Yeah.
It's we who remain home with the children.
Yes.
It is we who take the brush of everything rough. Let's take, for example, what happened last year and sometime 2023.
Yes.
Flash floods happened in Germany.
Yeah.
The tornadoes and all these wildfires that are happening in the US.
Yes.
And even just recently, the national park, I mean, Aberdare,
Yeah.
who is being affected when the waters reduce from the rivers where we fetch water to go do our house chores, to go feed our animals. Who is most affected? It is the woman.
Yes.
So unless we stand up and fight for ourselves and for our future generations,
Yes.
we are going to fail somewhere. And we're already being beaten by it. I mean, we went out and cut trees, we went out and used charcoal. It was the most efficient means of energy, but look at us, look at where we are today.
Okay.
Climate change is real, the heat waves. At night, how many of us are even using blankets these days? Let's be honest.
Okay.
It's 7 p.m. and we're still not wearing sweaters because it's too hot.
Yeah.
This is March.
Yeah.
Growing up, March, we knew it's a rainy season. Long
Yeah.
rains are supposed to have started,
Yeah.
but here we are.
Taki,
Yes.
the most pressing issues, or rather the shift, and maybe you can speak to it, give a perspective based on what you do.
Okay.
Yes.
For sure, I think the shift in women needs to come when we look at inclusivity
Yes.
in mental wellness.
Yes.
I think we all know, even from a cultural point of view, that women are more open and vocal about how they feel.
Yes.
But largely, we are the ones who put stigma on the boy child. I remember growing up, and the boys we used to grow up with, if they cried, they were
Yes.
told, stop crying like a girl. And the
Yeah.
person to tell you that would be a woman.
Yeah.
And today we complain that they can't express themselves. So as women, we really need to, we are nurturers. We really need to embrace inclusivity when it comes to mental wellness, that it's not just a woman issue, but
Yes.
it's an issue for every gender. We need to be open to talk about issues with both boys and girls. There was a time where women would just nurture their daughters. But now what are you even teaching your boys in terms of mental wellness? For generations that are coming, if we want a peaceful bond,
Yes.
we can see within the millennials, the amount of divorce rates are very high.
Yeah.
Because the awareness and stand of women has really changed.
Yeah, yeah.
We are now in the forefront, of offices where we are outspoken.
Yeah.
But the boy child was not kind of trained to be able to handle that. So
Yeah.
what are we as women doing now to be able to have that openness and teach them that this is how we should handle mental health? It's okay, you want to cry? That's absolutely fine. So
Okay.
I would urge women to be more open and inclusive.
Yeah, interesting. Let me come to you. And our question for you this night is, because we understand Wangari Maathai's work, which actually transcended environmental conservation. It was about justice and empowerment. Why do you think her impact was quite impactful? Because how she did it and how other women have done it and how other advocates for change have done it might be quite different.
I will answer this from a story perspective.
Yes.
The other day we went for a fact-finding mission, Aberdare region,
Okay.
and we met a 76-year-old mother. She gave us her story. 6 children down the line, all of them educated from a tree nursery that she ran, funded by Wangari Maathai through Greenbelt.
Yeah.
You know the way the coffee system, people get the bonuses? They used to have a system through tree nurseries.
Yeah.
That was a whole livelihood
Yeah.
arena.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when we lost her,
Yeah.
the lady, her life changed.
Yes.
So from that point, for me, it's about impact.
Yes.
She went down to the grassroots people. She spoke their language. She adjusted to culture.
Yeah.
She integrated with them.
Yeah.
For her, it wasn't just about me, myself, and I am educated, I'm a professor. It was the impact. How do you change this mindset to be
Yes.
sustainable? If you read her book, Unbowed, she starts her story from, she's on the side of a hotel in DRC, and she's overlooking a hill. And that is where she was like, this arable land, they're farming wrongly. So that interconnectedness, she was unnatural to the people. It changed how she impacted society. And she fought for education. What people don't know is she was an education activist. And she was a political activist.
Interesting.
It was not just environmentalism.
Yeah.
And she was always about empowering, which meant improving livelihoods.
Improving livelihood.
Yeah.
Interesting. Her legacy 20 years down the line still remains.
Yeah.
Why do you think this is so? Why do you think a legacy actually is still relevant with us today?
I think it's the lessons we learn from what she did. She started grassroots.
Okay.
You know, it teaches us that we don't have to start up there, but if we start thinking of climate change, thinking of conservation, thinking of mental health at home, individually, with our neighbors, that is a start. And what that led to is, I know the UN, because of her initiative and looking at what she does, planted 11 billion trees. Just because of a grassroots movement. So if we can learn from her that you don't have to start something so big, but start, you know, they say charity begins with yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that's the legacy she leaves behind. And I think resiliency,
Yes.
when you look at mental wellness, and what I'd like to take from her is resiliency. The woman stood her ground.
Okay.
And I wish we could do that as well. Yes.
Interesting. Well, just a question till on the because I wanted to be we'll be jumping also
Sure.
on actually some of the things actually that you do. But let me ask you this, Sakina, because as Africa's only accredited suicide first aid Twitter, you've seen how mental health stigma disproportionately affects women, especially in high pressure corporate events. How can women then harness their voice, as Maathai did, to now even break silence and to advocate for wellness, maybe in 2025 and even beyond?
I like your question because, first of all, when you will know your issue,
Yes.
you will be able to solve it. You're halfway into
Okay.
solving it. So, as a woman leader, when you're in your corporate space or you're a leader of a church,
Yes.
first of all, do you know how to identify mental wellness issues?
Yes.
What are the preventive ways you're using to advocate for mental health? Do you know how to do an intervention?
Okay.
We teach a course called the Suicide First Aid course, which teaches you how to do an intervention. Today, if I was to come and speak to you and tell you I have suicide ideation, you will panic.
Okay.
You know, but this course actually teaches you how to handle it, not being a therapist, just being a news anchor. So I think women should come out and learn these these courses or learn forms of awareness and spread it around. I've even said it before, women are nurturers. And in the 90s, we always heard, send your girl child to school, educate a girl, educate the nation. Just like that, take mental health as a form of education and take Wangari Maathai's example. She was the first professor in Kenya. She was the first woman to have graduated in, I think, a biology PhD, if I'm not, a doctorate, in East and Central Africa. We as women, how are we taking mental wellness education and what are we doing with it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Green Belt movement. This was actually what could have been known, Wangari Maathai was actually known for.
Yeah.
This is one of the things she was actually known for. But I will ask, but what are some of the lesser known aspects of Wangari Maathai's activism?
I will say legacy.
Okay.
Number one, Greenbelt movement lives on.
Okay.
This is 14 years since her departure, 20 years since her Nobel Peace Prize award.
Yes.
And look at us, we have Greta talking about green belts, talking about her inspiration.
Yeah.
We have Vanessa Nakate from Uganda. Here we are from Kenya.
Yeah.
Like the inspiration goes beyond nation,
Yeah.
goes beyond a community in Nyeri, goes beyond a people.
Yeah.
So Greenbelt is that one thing that stands tall
Yeah.
because she stood tall. We stand tall because we stand on her shoulders.
Yeah.
This is one woman who went to Uhuru Park and decided, you're not shutting this field down.
Yeah.
Lifted her clothes up, called off the president. I mean, I wouldn't. I know myself, I wouldn't.
Will you?
Sorry?
Will you?
Hey, if I have Gen Z support, we can do anything.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Quite much interesting, this conversation. But we also understand that as Wangari Maathai was doing this, we understand that in as much as her legacy has got a lot of good things to be spoken about, but some of the things actually that we maybe do not look into so much are some of the challenges that she may have faced.
Yes.
I believe that perhaps mental health was one of them at a time. But apart from that, what are some of these challenges maybe you think that she would have gone through, and perhaps how will she as a woman, what do you think she did, maybe according to how you know her legacy, even as it tied to what is happening today and how women can overcome the same?
Very interesting question.
Yes.
Because if there's one thing I feel that she went through in her era was stigma. Don't forget Wangari Maathai, because of her outspokenness, also faced a divorce, where again very boldly she stood and told the judge how corrupt he is because the case didn't go in her favor. Very bold woman for her age or her generation.
Yeah.
And I think that if there's one thing that really healed her was the earth, was nature. And there's a concept in mental health we call grounding, where you remove your shoes and you stand on earth.
You call it
Grounding.
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 Okay.
And you stand on earth, and the positive vibrations that you feel.
Okay.
And you say when you stand on earth, you stand as if you're rooted in the earth.
Yes.
And I feel that is the main reason this woman didn't waver here and there. She
Yes.
was extremely grounded, and that is because her love for nature.
Okay.
So I urge everyone today, if you think you're having clouded thoughts, if you think you're not firm in a decision, ground yourself. Remove your shoes,
Okay.
go and walk on soil, and see how you will be grounded just like Wangari Maathai.
Wow. Interesting. Have you ever been grounded? Or have you grounded yourself?
Well, I actually use the form of meditation.
Okay.
I go for a meditation practice every morning.
Okay.
Between 4 and 5. I've been doing it for years. We also have a concept called Vipassana, where we do a silent meditation for 10 days. It takes you a while. Wangari Maathai did not establish Green Belt movement in one day.
Yeah.
She started by planting one tree.
Yes.
And let us also start there with mental health.
Okay, interesting. I'm learning a lot of things from you guys actually. Grounding, mental, 4-5, I'm almost, I'm still sleeping, but anyway, this is really nice, because I believe we can actually even, it's not basically women who can use grounding, even men can use them.
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah, but this is a very interesting topic because the woman we are talking about today changed the world in different ways actually, and she used environment as the basis of how she actually changed the world and perception, and then her legacy will live on for quite a number of years. But the question again is, how did she even link environmental conservation with women's empowerment? And maybe you could tell us the connection, because someone would ask, how is the environment connected with the activism and all these things actually that Wangari Maathai was fighting for?
Okay, number one, I will go back to my initial story.
Yes.
Uhuru Park.
Yes.
We enjoy Uhuru Park today
Yes.
because she stood tall.
Okay.
So it is that one place. I remember growing up,
Yes.
we would be taken to Uhuru Park for the boat rides. You know, it was that place we'd go on Sundays for
Yeah.
hangout.
Yeah.
These days they're charging. I know families are being affected, those who would go to town.
Yeah.
But it was a healing place.
Yeah.
And even Karura, how many people wake up to go jogging, to go for a walk, for a hike?
Yeah.
She protected these lands with her life.
Yeah.
That's one part. Then number two, capacity building.
Yeah.
She took girl-child education personally
Yes.
and very seriously. And she would go to these communities. I remember this old shosho telling us she learned banking from Wangari because she didn't really establish a bank. What she taught them is saving. So they used to save through Greenbelt. Then they would get their tokens at the end of the month, their savings, plus some interest. They were able to cover their bills. They were able to educate their children. They were able to continue with their projects. Then she told them project management. So some of them, I remember last year we bought seedlings from one such lady because she was like, if you're coming, I would ask you to do what Wangari used to do. Actually, she gave us a version that we didn't know. As we knew, Greenbelt gives out seedlings. Then we go to the ground and she's telling us, come. She even had like the backyard, her backyard, where she had said the nursery, and she showed us what remained after Wangari left, and how her life changed since that project died. And yeah, we just decided to pick up the mantle and run with it. Those are lives that are being touched. And that is just one woman in Aberdare. We've met the same narrative in Mount Elgon, Nyeri, Kisumu, you know, it's across the country. Then right now we are suffering, a lot of people are suffering, especially in Northeastern Province. ASAL regions, drought. Yesterday I was being told about this young child who was met by a dry riverbed, and he was sieving soil. So he's saving soil to get the top soft layer. That is what he's eating because of hunger.
Yes.
We're in the 21st century. This is 2025. With all the rains that fell last year, it beats my logic why we would sit and have such a story.
Yeah.
If we can do our own small bit, go work with the Northeastern communities, have them plant fruit seedlings, have them nurture fruit seedlings to fruits. Go empower them about urban gardens. You know, just change one life story, one step at a time. We save a life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And actually, women are doing a lot of impactful initiatives. But the question is, Sakina, from where you sit, your perspective on how Kenya and even the whole world actually is taking these initiatives that have been led by women. Is the world accepting these initiatives? Are they being given chances to explore what they really want to do? What do you think of the world's progress in this area?
I would divide the world into continents, to be very honest.
Okay.
And a woman has come a long way from where her voice was never heard to where she has a seat on the table. And that's why we're here today. But I would still divide it. And the founder of TAMWA, Fatma Alu, once told me, this is in Tanzania, that there's a very big difference when it comes to women activism and bodies in the West and in Africa. And I love that. Because Afrofeminism, what I call it, is not about being a man. In the West, people will cut their hair, they want to be the man. But here we embrace our femininity and we support the men, and that's how inclusivity comes together. So I would say, and that is why we have a lot of peace when it comes to gender equality in Africa. That is what I would say, no matter what the media puts out there. And that is because we are still very cultural in this context. Don't get fooled by my color, I'm very African.
Oh, really?
Yes. So that's what I would say, that the woman is very different in different continents because of the culture. But here we've really come together. And that's why we have a male host today accepting the voice of women. It's because that's the African culture. We farm, we support, we are the ones who bring the fruit at home. If you look at an island like Zanzibar, when you go out, the person who carries the baby is not the woman, it's the man. And it's very acceptable. So I think if we embrace our culture and are proud of it, here women are way more empowered than anywhere else. Have always been.
Interesting. I was actually to ask you after the show whether you're African.
Yeah, very much. I'm East African, very much so.
Okay, wow. Interesting. Interesting. Wow, interesting. On policies, actually. Because in as much as these initiatives, yes, they are there. She's talked about how different continents look at the initiatives, but of course, we agree they're quite impactful. Still, on policies, What policies actually or systemic changes are still needed to uplift women? Because we know that we're headed somewhere, but we may not be there somewhere. We may not be there actually where we want to be as ladies. What are these policies actually? If you got a chance to sit at the table, the big table, or even be the president, what are some of these impactful initiatives you'll say have to happen?
My biggest concern, actually the inspiration behind the Ewangan Girl Awards that we are launching is livelihoods changing and improving. Because we have women at grassroots level who are doing their own small bits, but for whatever, because of financial challenges especially, they cannot get to the table. I have met groups of women, they have come together as formed a whole CBO, but they even saving that 5,000 to go for registration is a problem. And because of that, they cannot get funding from a lot of these international INGOs, even banks. Like Equity, you have to have a registration. Even Net Fund, you have to have a registration certificate to get funding, which means what? They miss on a lot. So there's, if we are going to change the narrative of livelihoods, we need to start thinking from the shoes of the grassroots person. Then me and Sakina can get to the table, but in reality, the people who really, really do the work, it's the grassroots person. We need to get education down to them. Education in terms of financial literacy, education in terms of policy, education in terms of their rights, education in terms of exposure. Because unless they have that, they do not know how much the world has to offer. Then we women, led by women in parliament, I mean, they're the ones who make these policies as much as we get to push them. We need to get a way of, I don't know how to put it. Sakina, maybe you could help me on this one. Civil education, their rights. Because until you know your rights, you are not free. We live with a lot of fear. I will give you an example where I approached, as we are planning this program, I made a call to some big shot somewhere, and he had the audacity of telling me, young girl, you cannot be thinking such big dreams. Only Wangari was allowed to do that. And I remember laughing, I actually laughed loud, and I'm like, boss, this is 2025. You don't have the right to tell me that. Then he got shocked, and he responded, and he was like, do you know who I am? And I'm like, yes, sir, I know you're an ambassador, but that doesn't give you a right to belittle my efforts. You either tell me no, that's the worst you can tell me. But even if you don't help me, I'll get help somewhere else. That is me, but how many of us are able to take that position?
Interesting conversation here with DK Wanjiru. Wanjiku.
Yes.
And of course, Sakina Taki. Very much African. While we continue with this conversation, to the wonderful four is our SMS line. We're taking a quick short break, but we'll be right back. The power of her voice.
What is always before you but can't be seen?
Kudiscover talent.
Kudiscover, ulijuangaje like unaweza imba, like
Kini Trace Jimmy Kipchoge kwa ngoma na mfala wananidis na wanabonga kwa ngoma, mafanjo wananipenda ndo nazidi kwa roga, wenye walenjaribu mazee walishachoka na nikozabe meditation naendelesha generation niliofanya kalki.
Wewe at 1 year old ulikuwa unafanya nini? You're feeling the vibe. Ulitoa a few days ago, unaweza taka utuambie like ulikuwa unafikiria nini when you came up with the lyrics?
So I'm doing my thing. Don't try and stop me when I'm doing my thing. I'm tryna boss, let me do my thing. And if you're tryna win, you can be on my team. So I'm doing my thing. Don't try and stop me when I'm doing my thing. I'm tryna boss, let me do my thing.
You feel like you're young at heart, I'm an old soul. If you could only listen to one singer or band for the rest of your life, who will you choose? What is the biggest challenge that you face as an aspiring filmmaker? So,
First biggest challenge is still financial. Finance problem. Especially as young filmmakers, you're trying to navigate something for the first time, and there is a lot of pressure from the people in the game.
You people, you don't take it like let's say it's not like a challenge, like
It comes
a
all
challenge.
round.
Like he's just challenging you to do better. Like you try to improve what you feel like they're not doing it in the right
This
way.
pressure comes with the challenge. First and foremost is the resources, is the finance that comes with it, because at the end of the day, as long as you're trying to create films, you're trying to improve your quality with time. Because at the end of the day, you see, competition is, for example, just in the music industry. You know, you might find yourself being in the industry and you quit. Not that you can't do it, not that you can't see or you're not seeing or taking it as a challenge, as something to boost you up. But sometimes it can come and overweight. The challenge becomes too hard to bear.
everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the Insight tonight at GBS TV Africa. To double 144 is our SMS line with Sakina Taki, and of course we also have DK Wanjiku. Thank you so much. Wanjiku has spoken about grassroots. She's talked about the people at the grassroots who actually do the work, the most work, needs to have this called civic education, actually to be taught. For us to then continue uplifting the status of women. But as it stands even in 2025, as she says that women, this is 2025, we still face a lot of challenges. Women face the challenges from gender-based violence to economic inequality. Women, and actually they actually still face systemic obstacles amongst many others. How do you think Madai's strategy of grassroots, for example, mobilization, to inspire, how could it actually even help to inspire solutions? And how can we use it even in the current world? And how will we even solve some of these systemic challenges?
I think what she did is she went down to the level of the common mwananchi.
Yeah.
Today, if I give them a policy paper to read that has been published by the ministry, I don't think they even have the time to sit and read that. But today, if I went and spoke to a group of women, to a group of children, to a group of people on their level, they would understand whether it's climate change, whether it's mental health issues. I will give you a very good example. Our Ministry of Health has worked tirelessly on mental health. And in January, we got a very big win where suicide was decriminalized. But does the common mwananchi know how to report it if there is a case? Do they know what helplines to call if somebody in their family is having suicide ideation? Do they know what to do? Apart from saying this is juju, this is mashetani, you know. So we have to go to their level, not just publish papers. Research is excellent, but it is not helping the common man if they do not understand. So let us take her example and go to the level of the common man and explain to them what the issues are, what to do in terms of intervention, and where can they seek help.
Wow, interesting. Well, your 2 cents on this actually?
Wangari was bottom up.
Yes.
Literally what we are supposed to be living today.
Yes.
The narrative is bottom up.
Yes.
Take for instance, when she was protecting Karura, she was, I know one of the young men by then who was with her. He's around 46, 47 years of age. He's
Yes.
based in Mathare.
Yes.
They went to Karura, and he has these photos of when they were being fought by the police.
Yes, yes.
Brutally fought. I met another lady who is among those whose hair was plucked. Why did they do this? That has been my question across to them. And they said, she made us understand her vision, and she made us understand the necessity to protect Mother Earth and our country for our future generations.
Okay. You also talked about Green Belt movement.
Yes.
Is it also one of the mobilization for the grassroots?
You'll be surprised.
And do we even have even more others actually that are similar to the Green Belt?
Yes, yes, yes. These days, especially now with the narrative of climate action, 15 billion tree planting challenge, so many organizations have come up, CBOs, CFAs, and international INGOs like Greenbelt from
Yes.
WWF.
Yes.
Ghetto farmers who are in Mathare by the river. We have a fruit guy from Kitale who gifts fruit seedlings for your birthdays.
Yes.
Everybody is trying to do their own small bit in support of what Wangari believed in
Okay.
support of the Greenbelt narrative.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Interesting. I want to talk about the forests. I want to talk about the rivers, the public land, and powerful interest. Some of these things which Wangari Maathai fought for dearly with her heart. As we talk about how Wangari Maathai changed the world. Well, how do we continue the fight today? That is a question, maybe. How do we continue the fight?
One, there are very many ways to do this.
Yes.
One is intellect. As somebody who is educated in a certain sector, what are you doing to bring in more research on the table, to bring in more funding towards that cause?
Yeah.
What are you doing to sit on the table on a global platform and say this is what has to be done? What are you doing in the private sector, in governments? That is one. Two, what are you doing for the common man? How are you telling them that utilizing the elements they have around them, the earth, water, air, fresh air, space, how is that going to bring a balance into their life psychosomatically, physically, mentally, emotionally? For them, doing that will bring them solace, will bring them peace. And when you talk about somebody who sits on the table, bringing a difference, though they will spark something, Wangari Maathai just created a spark and something really beautiful generated out of it.
Wow.
So I think we need to take different approaches for different niches.
Yes. About leadership. Leadership. Are you interested to maybe vie, contest in the near future? Because as we understand, Wangari Maathai, yes, she advocated for justice, for all these things.
Yeah.
But do you think it's important for women to then take up leadership positions? Because in as much as we may be advocating for things, we understand that the political class lies with the final say to some extent when we talk about maybe some of the injustices meted out in to some communities or even to some people. They say the buck stops to the president. Is it the right time? Don't you think it's high time we should have a woman president?
Oh, I believe in that. I do believe in that.
Yes.
However, I will say we need to first get our act together.
Yes.
Personally, I am born a humanitarian,
Yes.
philanthropist at heart.
Yes.
I am a nurturer. So I would go more for the empowerment. I have more the empathy.
Okay.
My leadership is more into the administration,
Yes.
making sure stuff is done and done in the right way.
Yes.
There are people who are vocal, who can lead the change from a political angle. If I know Sakina wants to go in that journey, I
Yes.
will support them
Okay.
with the best of my ability. Because I know if she goes to that platform,
Yes.
the light shines brightly on all of us.
Yes.
But personally, I will continue doing grassroots work with grassroots people.
Okay.
It's time for an African. Look at what Salif Johnson did.
Yes.
Look at what Samora Machel wife, Gracia, is doing for Africa. Even the list.
Yes.
We had the German Prime Minister,
Yeah.
Merkel, the other year.
Yes.
we've had big names, women in leadership. Thatcher, we are all proud of Thatcher. So yes, it's time for women to be in leadership. But we still have a lot of work to first work on ourselves, to support each other, to believe in the dream of an African or a woman leader, and then we will get there.
Sakina, are you the next women rep Nairobi?
I would say I'm always there to support a cause.
Yes.
And I'm always there to work on the right side of history.
Yes.
So whether I am at the forefront of leading is not the question.
Yeah.
But whether I am making a difference in that cause is the question.
Yes.
So if I'm going to vie for a post, and that is the biggest difference made, be it. But I also enjoy, I'm somebody who likes getting their hands dirty.
Okay.
So I rather even work at the background, but as long as I know the minute in my day has made a difference in someone's life.
Yes. Okay. Well, I was also to ask you, because Wangari Maathai, there's some qualities actually that we can learn from her as a leader. As we link it to this conversation, what are some of the qualities from where you sit that actually on leadership generally?
One is resiliency.
Yes.
Wangari Maathai was heavily resilient.
Yes.
And if you take from a mental health perspective, Eugene, I would ask you, are you ever not stressed in life? Is stress ever going away?
Not quite.
Not quite,
Not
right?
quite,
So it's not about how do I get rid of my stress, but how should I build myself to be resilient enough to be able to withstand what is coming.
Yes.
So what we learn from her, first and foremost, is resiliency. What we learn from her is how to mobilize. How will you mobilize a small group of people and start from there?
Yes.
Rather than just looking at the elite class. Wangari Maathai made a change without Instagram, without any likes. Yeah, let's talk about that. So how are you going to make a real difference without going on social media and just talking about something? How are you really doing something? Let's learn that from her.
Yeah. Interesting. Let me come to you. We're talking about the Ewangan. Is it?
Ewangan.
The Ewangan Awards.
Yes.
Actually, I will ask, is it because it sounds Maasaiish? I don't know. It sounds Maasaiish. The Ewangan Awards actually aims to recognize environmental champions. Maybe how can platforms like this help to sustain Wangari Maathai's vision?
The narrative is about the power of one.
Yeah.
That one person who does their own small bits, so they are our hummingbirds of today. You do your part, we as a corporate do our part, another organization does their own small bits, then together we have impact. So it's about empowering grassroots people to become the very best version of themselves. Then we will get to that point where we say, we've changed the world in our own small ways.
Have you not told me about the name?
Ewangan is Maasai.
Okay.
It means light up.
Okay.
So we are looking to bring light to these grassroots actors. Interestingly, actually, the breakdown is we have PWDs involved, we have refugees, we have women, men, children. So literally the hashtag is leave no one behind. Everyone is part and parcel of the narrative.
Now, she's talked about resilience as one of the issues actually that she could pick up from the life of Wangari Maathai. I don't know when you look at the life of Wangari Maathai, what are these things actually, qualities of leadership, or rather qualities generally, that you think you could also pick from the life of Wangari Maathai?
Two things.
Yes.
Number one, the power of one.
Okay.
You are your own self. There will never be a photocopy of you in this world.
Yes.
So every morning you wake up,
you
look at yourself through the mirror, and remember, there will never be another you. So the best thing you can do is give the world the best version of you. It doesn't matter, in your own small way. If you panda mboga to the best of your ability.
Yes.
Then when you close your eyes, we will say, that was the best mboga farmer who ever lived.
Yes.
If you don't do that, you failed.
Interesting.
Yes.
Sakina, if you're to meet Wangari Maathai today, what would be your question to her?
Oh, I would like to know the mental wellness issues she went through as a woman in her generation, being so bold. Because at the end of the day, we have to realize you will see someone's activism. You will never know what is going inside her. So even as women, as mothers, as daughters, as caregivers, we put out such a strong front.
Yes.
But the tears behind
Yes.
on our pillows, only we know.
Yeah.
So that is one thing I'd like to ask her. How
Yes.
did she maintain her mental wellness?
Yes.
Apart from what I truly believe grounding to be.
Yes.
What exactly did she do to say, if this didn't work today, we will sleep tonight, tomorrow we wake up and we start from square one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. We have come to the close of this conversation. But perhaps you have things you'd want to say about Wangari Maathai, even as we end. And of course, I'll also give you a chance to talk about the today, and of course, tomorrow. Happy International Women's Day. Perhaps as we come to the close of this conversation, what are these? What do you say about the day, and what do you say generally about? What are generally the last words?
I was asked why we celebrate Women's Day loudly.
Yeah.
And yet men are not celebrated. And
What is Men's Day?
honestly, I don't know.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
No, I know there's Father's Day.
Yes.
Somewhere around, I think May or June.
Somewhere around.
Somewhere around.
Oh.
Yeah. But
But there is Women's Day, Girlfriend's Day.
yes,
Valentine's-
and Mother's
Valentine's
Day.
Day.
And even your
Christmas Day
your Father's
is
Day is
yours.
mine to get chocolate. So
Wow.
it is what it is. But she was a mother. And I always ask myself what was going through Wanjera's mind watching her mother's hair being plucked. As a child of such a person, what experience do you really pick out of it? And like Sakina said, resilience is one of them. And the power to push the narrative towards the legacy. Your children's future is in your hands. Until you've woken up and fought for something, you have not lived. It doesn't matter how minimal you think you're doing it. It could be a smile. Maybe you didn't smile today, and here we are smiling because Sakina is very African because you didn't know. But yeah, if it's a smile, give it to the best.
Yes.
Because we women are the flowers of the world.
Yes.
If we don't stand up for something, we will have failed Mother Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Sakina, touch.
Yes. I would like to invite every man to celebrate Women's Day with us. We cannot embrace our feminine energy without you. She said something very profound. We are the flowers of this universe. But if we don't have our stem to make us flourish, to help us get there, we are just withered, if that's the word to use. So I invite every individual to celebrate Women's Day.
Yes.
This world will not run without the men.
Yes.
It will not run without the women.
Yes.
So it's not just a day to celebrate women, but it's a day for everybody to celebrate each other. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Sakina Taki and DK. Wow. You guys have got very unique names. I'll also start calling myself EK.
Oh, welcome to the club.
Okay. What does DK mean?
Oh, DK is that name that's on the ID
Yeah,
that was given by my grandmother.
they don't talk about.
That I never talk about.
But you've not
But
invited-
K is
Yes.
Kimani, my surname.
Interesting. But you've not even invited people to tomorrow's event, the event you guys have tomorrow.
On that point,
Yes.
yes. Tomorrow we have the launch of the Ewangan Gala Awards.
Yes.
There's a registration link that is still open.
Yes.
That is www.ewangan. Ewangan is EWAANGAN. Ewangan.kipepeogreenheritage.org. There's
Yes.
a registration link that is over there.
Yes.
Feel free. We are at USIU from 5 p.m. Come plant your seed. There's a seed planting experience.
Yes.
Then we go to launch the awards.
Okay.
The link for nomination goes up tomorrow.
Yes.
And the awards will be held on October 24th.
Okay.
God willing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And you guys are doing great work on environment, and you, of course, you are doing a great work also on mental health, and generally what you're doing for women. It's quite impactful, and we wish you all the best. And of course, this brings us to the end of an incredible, of course, conversation here on International Women's Day on March 7th. Tonight, of course, under the voice, under the banner of power of her voice, how Wangari Maathai changed the world. we've journeyed through the echoes of one woman's unbreakable spirit and discovered how it still reverberates today. Well, this brings us to the end, and of course, Wangari Maathai once said that we cannot tire or give up. We owe it to the present and future generations. And tonight we've been reminded that our voice, their voices, our voices hold the power to heal, to grow, and to transform. Well, thank you so much on behalf of everyone actually who has made this a success. We wish you a very good night. Meet you next Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m.